Hey YouTubers, it's the Anonymous Reality TV blogger. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Today I'm going to be reviewing Love Island Australia Season 3, Episode 13, and we are finally in Casa Amor week, which is monumental for Australia because this is the first season that they're doing Casa Amor, so it is already off the rails. Of course, the episode, the first 5 minutes, kind of debriefs everything that has happened up until this point, as well as the last episode, of course, being with Emily getting dumped from the villa. And so we kind of pick right back up with the aftermath of that. And Taku and Aaron kind of have a little bit of a debrief, and Aaron's telling him, you're one of the best guys here in the villa. Everybody loves you. And everybody has gotten, the best advice. And even Aaron was saying he learned a lot of positive things from Taku on how he's conducting himself. And he was basically essentially telling Taku, even with Emily being dumped from the villa, that this isn't the end, that there's always going to be opportunities for still new people to come in that will be here for Taku. And so Taku basically said, he's not going to try to stress it as much. And he's just going to kind of go with the flow and kind of see what happens, and sees that everything kind of happens for a reason. So then, of course, they get to the typical, nighttime routines and everybody sleeping in their beds and whatnot. And then the next morning, Mitch makes bacon and eggs and does like a little picnic for Tina with like Ryan's assistants, because he felt that him and Tina went through a lot of drama in the villa. But really all he had to do is, if he really wasn't into Emily, he could have just told her no from the start. That could have avoided all of this. But there was a part of him that, was enjoying the attention and, indulged as much as he could without completely losing Tina. So, nonetheless, we have this makeup breakfast, and then he comes out with these breakfast Speedo, and I don't know if he stuffed his Speedo or not, but it was like very funny because he was like, I have bacon and eggs, and then he like thrust forward with the side of sausage, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And then the host was like, it was so hilarious because he was like, yeah, last night, Mitch, he put his meat into Tina's eggs. And then the next morning, now that it's time to eat or something along the lines. I was just cracking up because he was just a mess. So that was that. So the girls after that get a text that to quietly leave the villa, that they're going to have this girls' day and this and that. And so they quickly sneak out of the villa, and they're like in some picnic in some grass somewhere with like, fruits, drinks, and all of that, their usual setup, and just kind of having a moment away from the boys. And then next thing you know, the Casa Amor girls are appearing on like this Jeep. And it's so funny because they're like, waving at them and giving like these looks, and all the girls, their reactions are just hilarious. Like they're completely shook. And so then from there, it is hilarious because the boys go to look for the girls. So Aaron's trying to look for the girls, and he looks in the dressing room and he doesn't hear a peep, and it's quiet. So then he rallies up the troops and they all try looking for the girls. And so then they start celebrating that the girls are gone. And then they're like doing like some weird dancing. And then for some reason they all get naked, like completely naked, and jump into the pool. And I didn't understand the significance of that, of why you needed to be naked, but whatever. So that happened. And then at some point later, they took a nap. And then after that, Sophie comes in and gathers everybody up. And then she has like a practice session with the guys on whatever dance routine they were doing. She explains to them that they're not going to see the girls for a couple of days. And so a couple of them are a little bit upset and kind of let out some groans. And so then from there, she's like, but you're not going to be alone, and lets them know that they have, some company happening. And so then they start to get excited and start to cheer and everything else. And so then next thing you know, we have the arrival of the Casa Amor girls. And then at this point, the girls are, the OG girls are getting text messages, of course, that, they're going to be away for a couple of days. They're going to be at Casa Amor And, they eventually take them over to Casa Amor, which is a little bit of a smaller villa. Doesn't have, of course, the same amenities as the main villa, but, has enough there basically to mimic the Love Island experience. So we have 6 girls because there are 6 guys there since Taku is 6 and the single person. And I wanted to say I was a little confused as to why we couldn't have the arrival of both the male bombshells as well as the female bombshells. Like, I understand they want to drum up drama with the girls, but I didn't understand why we couldn't just have both, unless it was simply an issue of maybe the lack of staff, or what have you, to do all of that filming. Maybe the filming restrictions is why we couldn't have both simultaneously. So I'm very curious to see how all of this will play out. And how soon the guys are going to get there, because it seems like even the preview for tomorrow, we still don't see the Casa Amor guys yet. So anyways, we get to the girls. The guys are freaking out because they are stoked. Everybody is like excited. They sit down first at the fire pit and everybody's asking the girls, who's their type, who they're into. And so for the most part, most of them say Taku right off the bat. And then a couple of other people really say, also Nicholas, and then Ryan got a couple of looks and Chris got a couple of looks. And then it was interesting because as time went on, you really just saw the girls kind of zoom in on Nicholas, Taku, and Ryan. Those were like prime real estate for the bombshells of the Casa Amor girls. And so they immediately went to work. So essentially, everybody's flirting. I knew Nicholas was going to be trouble because here's the thing. For whatever reason, the men that have been in the villa so far are not into Courtney. I don't know what it is. At least Aaron was right up front with her from the beginning that he just wasn't into it, and was all about Jessica. And then she just had like a horrible situation happening with the Ronnie situation, and she just hasn't had a good experience, overall. And I don't know ultimately how much longer she's going to be in the villa post Casa Amor, because unless she finds somebody, like, I don't see it for her and Nicholas. Nicholas just seems like, and really he told you when he was even about to choose somebody that he was here for the drama, to spice things up, to cause some stirs, but it was just easier and more convenient for him to couple up with Courtney because she was, no longer in a couple. So even though he would have preferred to mess up a couple. So I already knew that Nasty Nick was on the loose. So the moment Casa Amor, another person who is obviously not caring is Ryan. And is anybody surprised that the person who slept with 500 women is now all of a sudden on the prowl with the Casa Amor girls? And I have to say, people who thought that he was all in on Lexi, I never really felt that. I felt that he was all into her for now. That essentially there wasn't any bombshells that would have done enough so far for him to change his mind, essentially. Or if there was a situation where Emily and Zoe showed up as bombshells during Casa Amor, that Ryan would have done his thing because Lexi wasn't in front of him. Like, it really was just about the fact he wasn't trying to disrespect in front of Lexi, but he definitely was always feeling other women. But at the moment, it was just the safe bet to stick with Lexi. And so, of course, Ryan is like really feeling the Casa Amor girl, Taylor. Feels that, really is physically attracted to her, feels that she's more mature than Lexi. Like, he just feels like there's a spark. And so the guys pulled him aside and asked him, if this was day one of the villa and you had Lexi there and you had Taylor there, who would you choose? And so he said he would have chosen Taylor. And, he's like really all in with Taylor. And so they had a truth or dare type of situation later at the fire pit. However, I don't know if it was an official game as much as it was people wanted to kiss who they wanted to kiss, and the people who got the most action were Nasty Nicholas and Mr. Ryan. So so that was that. They picked Mitch for one of the things. I think it was Taylor, and he kissed her right on the cheek. So I already knew with all the drama that happened with Emily that Mitch is trying to be on his good behavior. Him and Aaron were cracking me up because they were doing the most with their facial reactions. Like they've never seen other people in the villa kiss before, or do any dares. And then there was like this strong chemistry between Michaela and Taku. I mean, you could just see the tension between the two of them, that there was like an obvious physical attraction. Everybody that kissed Taku was very surprised at how good of a kisser he was. I wasn't sure why, or what they were expecting him to be as a kisser. And, and then there was a couple of dares where they had, Taku suck on Michaela's toes, and then they dared Michaela back to have, Taku put his finger in her mouth, and just all kinds of foolishness. And then, Nasty Nick did like a 3-way kiss with two of the girls as one of the dares, a triple kiss or what have you. And then Ryan did a strip tease where he took off his shirt and did all of this grinding and humping around with Taylor and had her from the chair to the floor to the up in the air. Like it was just a lot. And I was like, what is happening? And even Chris did some type of weird lap dance that didn't need to take place. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like you didn't have to go all like that. So I think Chris was he kind of just exiled himself from the rest of the festivities and was like, I'll just let, the bad boys continue to do them, which were Ryan and Nasty Nicholas. So all this is taking place. And so later in the day, it seems, they send the girls what's called like the Love Island Times, and it looks like set up like a magazine, like a Us Weekly type of thing, like a tabloid, and brings over to the girls basically this Love Island Times. And so Tina's all freaking out. She's all nervous because she doesn't know what she's about to see. And so essentially it was a little bit of a bio of 6 of the women, and they were like going in and calling them basic and calling them all these names. And then they were hating on the girl Michaela because it said, that she's a groupie and that she's been invited to, Drake's party, which is kind of a big deal when you think about it, even though Drake has a very eclectic dating history, so to speak. But it is a big deal to be invited to a celebrity's party. But they were hating like, oh, if that's all you have is a flex. But here's the thing. The bombshells for Casa Amor, they're not supposed to be there for you to know their education and credentials. They're there to shake things up in your couples. So they're not going to put on there, if they're a teacher or if they're a nurse or what have you. This is strictly for you to see how they are exuding their sex appeal, how they are using their attraction to get guys or get away from guys, to see what they're going to bring to the table to tempt your guys. So why they were hating, I don't know. I think there was a little bit of jealousy there with a couple of the girls, because a couple of girls, specifically Courtney and Lexi, and a little bit of Tina, but mainly Courtney and Lexi, seemed the most threatened by the females that were there. So I found that to be hilarious. So then we kind of go back to the villa, because they kind of just go back and forth between Villa and Casa Amor. But again, I just wish they would have just brought the guys there, because it just would have been nice to see them both having like the different games happening simultaneously at the same time, and really getting that opportunity. So I'm wondering how this is going to play out. Then also Taylor had this really crazy kiss with Taku. So she's really trying to like put her claws into him as well. Audrey and Nicholas have a crazy connection. It is very interesting. So I'm just there's like a lot of sexual tension between them. There's just a lot going on. And Nasty Nicholas, he is eating up all of the attention that is coming from Audrey. So it's all hilarious. So that was kind of the gist of everything that happened and all of the juicy things that happened. It looks like tomorrow there's even more dares and more things happening. So I'm sure we're going to see who ends up sleeping and with who in each of the beds. We do know that it's going to be Michaela and Taku that share a bed. And it's likely going to be Ryan and Taylor that share a bed. However, I do not know how the other bed situations are going to shake out for everybody else. It did show a clip, a preview that's going to be interesting for episode 14, that there is some other type of game, and they send the footage. First, they send photos of what's happening from the dare, and then it looks like later on they send video footage of what's happening, and it just all goes left. Like, they show footage. It looks like Aaron's kissing a girl on the cheek, so they try to make it seem bad in the edit, but I actually think him and Mitch are probably going to be the only ones that are going to be on their best behavior. And of course, Taku's going to do him because he's technically single, so he's not coupled up with anybody or obligated or anything. So, and then it just shows Lexi. That was like the best part of the episode, was Lexi was in these confessionals, in these diary room sessions, just really hyping up Ryan, saying that Ryan's going to be all about her, that Ryan's going to remain faithful, that he's going to be doing all this stuff. And I was like, I don't know, girl, like, somebody who slept with 500 women, like, I don't think you should be all in like this. Like, the only thing was he wasn't as into Ari as he made it seem. So Lexi, of course, got the benefit of that, that he just liked her more than he did Ari. Which is why we saw a little bit of a different Ryan. But it didn't mean to me that in the event the right person wouldn't turn his head if it came down to it, which we're seeing clearly now with Casa Amor. But she is just gassing up Ryan like he is going to be this noble guy. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to be tempted by anything. He is just going to be all in, and that their time apart solidifies things for her. And I'm like, girl, you just do not know. And so I'm so happy when the postcard photos are going to come in and she's going to see the mess. And then I'm so happy for whatever video footage they show, because it has literally Ryan, and this is not having anything to do with the challenge. He's literally in the bathroom, like, grabbing Taylor, trying to kiss her face off. And I'm like, this is about to be a disaster. This is about to be an absolute disaster, and I cannot wait for all of it. So please stay tuned. I cannot wait till tomorrow to see what happens, to see what transpires, because it's just going to be hotmess.com, and I am ready. Please let me know your guys' thoughts, and I will talk to you guys soon.